Hi everybody, it's Richard here again. Welcome to another video. This time I'm going to take a look at what I think is one of the most ignored songwriters, singers, songwriters of all time. His first album was in 1976 and he's still recording, and that is Graham Parker. Now Graham Parker at the start was with a band called The Rumour, which consisted of Brinsley Schwarz and Bob Andrews from the Brinsley Schwarz band that Nick Lowe used to be in, and then Steve Golding, Andrew Bodner and Martin Belmont, who all worked with Nick Lowe after they left The Rumour. Now they have reformed for a couple of albums in the late, I think it was 2012, 2014, but it's back to Graham Parker being solo again. Now he's had a hell of a lot of albums. He's had loads and loads of live albums, which I'm not going to touch apart from one. So what we'll do is we'll go through his studio albums. He's been compared to Elvis Costello, but I think overall he's more consistent than Elvis. Okay, granted Elvis between 77 and 82 was on fire, but Graham Parker was on fire as well. His first two albums, for me, are better than Elvis's first two. So his first album came out in 1976. And it's Highland Wind, and this was produced by Nick Lowe. This is a masterpiece of a debut album, and it's got fantastic songs on it like Silly Thing, very Van Morrison-y. Gypsy Blood, which is also very Van Morrison-y. Soul Shoes is very Stonesy. Back to School Days is a rockabilly number that Dave Edmunds actually covered. Nothing's Gonna Pull Us Apart, great, and Highland Wind is like almost like a cod reggae song. This is fantastic. I absolutely love this, and it's one of the best albums of 76. Another of the best albums of 76 is his follow-up, and this is Heat Treatment. Now this was produced by Mutt Lange. This has got fantastic songs on it like Hotel Chambermaid, Pouring It All Out, Backdoor Love, the title track, That's What They All Say. It's just a fantastic second album, and so those two I would always recommend. If you're going to get into Graham Parker, those are the first two to pick up. Now around that time he did have a minor hit single, a number 32 hit single. No, number 24 got to, and this is a cover of The Trammps' Hold Back the Night. It's an EP, terrible sleeve, and it's on pink vinyl. But he never really hit the charts at all. That was his highest ever single at number 24, which is a bit of a disgrace really, because he was really good. In 77 he released his third album, Stick to Me, and this was originally to be a big grandiose affair with orchestras, full string laden, almost like a Moody Blues type album, but I'm not too sure who the producer was, but at the time, whenever they'd nearly finished it, they noticed that tapes were leaking and they'd oxidized and they were completely ruined. And they'd spent a fortune on it, they had very little money left, they couldn't afford to do it again unless they got a producer in on the cheap. And they did, and that was Nick Lowe, and he produced this album, and this is not the way it was supposed to be. It's not a bad album. It's got some good songs on it like Thunder and Rain, The Raid and New York Shuffle, but generally speaking it's not as good as the first two. Next one up is the only live album I'm going to talk about, and this is the Parkerilla, and now this features the song Hey Lord Don't Ask Me Questions, which was originally on Highland Wind and it was released as a single, but they re-recorded it. So on this there's actually two versions, a live version and a re-recorded version, and if you take in Highland Wind you get three versions. It's not a great album. He sort of messes about with the arrangements a little bit. It's okay, but not my favourite. 79, and the one that most people know him for, and it's Squeezing Out Sparks. Yeah, this is again a very good album. Protection is the single off this, which is great. Discovering Japan, which is great, and Local Girls is absolutely magnificent. There's some nice ballads on this as well, like You Can't Be Too Strong, and what's the other one, the other ballady one, Passion Is No Ordinary Word. is a very, very strong album, and okay, it's not as good as Armed Forces by Elvis Costello, but it's still a very strong album. In 1980 he releases the Up Escalator, and this features members of the E Street Band, and I think Bruce Springsteen's on this as well. Single off this is Stupefaction, which is good, didn't do anything. Love Without Greed was the single. No Holding Back's a great song. It's a good, strong Graham Parker album. Then in 1982 he releases Another Grey Area. He changed record labels. This is on RCA. Again, it's a strong album. It's not fantastic. Temporary Beauty is good. It's a very laid back album. Big Fat Zero is a good song. No More Excuses. You hit the spot. It's quite laid back and it's quite soulful. It's not my favourite, but it's not his worst. But saying that, it's still a good album. But then one I really do like in 1983, and I think this is brilliant, and it's The Real Macaw. Now this one here is more 80s sounding, with songs like Life Gets Better, Just Like a Man, You Can Take Love for Granted. I just think this is fantastic, and I would actually put this as one of the 5 as a recommendation if you want to start getting into Graham Parker. So this came out in 83, and then in 85 probably his most 80s sounding is Steady Nerves, and again I absolutely love this. The song Break Them Down is his most 80s sounding song, but it works so really well. Black Lincoln Continental was a song that Nick Lowe covered for his Pinker and Prouder Than Previous album. And then songs like Canned Laughter is really good. Wake Up Next to You. It is 80s sounding, but I do like it, and this was close to being recommended as well. 1988, and it's more stripped back, and it's Mona Lisa's Sister, and I think this is extremely good too. So we have some really good albums of the 80s for Graham Parker, and they are better than Elvis Costello's 80s offerings. Don't Let Him Break You Down is really good. OK Hieronymus is great. He does a beautiful version of Sam Cooke's Cupid, and I love the guitar. It's very Shadows-like on the song I Don't Know. Really good album, and it is more stripped back. 1989, and we have Human Soul, and this it's not a bad album as well. Maybe not quite as consistent. The single off this actually is Everything Goes. Now it's only about 1.5 minutes long, so they had to extend the album version for a single, which you can find on this CD here, which is the official Art Mandalay tapes. But yeah, it's a decent album. It's quite soulful, not bad. 1991, and we have Struck by Lightning, and this is getting back to really good Graham Parker again. It's quite acoustic. She Wants So Many Things. It's for 6 minutes of brilliance. A Brand New Book's a really, really good song. Strong Winds, They Murdered the Clown, and The Beautiful Kid with the Butterfly Net. Excellent album. And then we have in 1982 we have Burning Questions. Maybe not as good as its predecessor, but you still get things like Long Stem Rose, which is lovely. Short Memories is a really scathing song. It's catchy. It's done in a rockabilly type number, but scathing against the then President of America, which I think was George Bush Sr. Just Like Joe Meek's Blues, another good song. It's a good album, not his best, but it's still better than a lot of Elvis Costello's. I'm really coming down hard on Elvis Costello here, but I love him as well, but I just think Graham Parker does not get the credit he deserves. Okay, next up is in 1995, and we have 1200 episodes, and this is really good as well. Partner for Life is brilliant. Honest Work is brilliant. Disney's America is a good song. Pollinate's a good song. Yeah, it's a good, strong Graham Parker album. So that's the end of the vinyl for the moment, and then in 1996 we have Acid Bubblegum. This is the one I struggle with. This is what I would call his weakest album, although there's 2 really good songs on this. The first one is Girl at the End of the Pier, which is beautiful. Another one is Turn It Into Hate, but apart from that is probably its weakest. And next up in 2001 we have Deep Cut to Nowhere, and this is very strong again. Songs like Socks and Sandals, I'll never play Jacksonville Again, Dark Days, High Horse is really catchy, really good, strong album. And then it goes all country for 2004's Your Country, and this is brilliant, and I would recommend this. There's a song off this called Fairground, which he out Dylan's Bob Dylan with his storytelling, and it's brilliant. And there's some accordion in this as well. It's just a really great album, and he does a version of his own Crawling from the Wreckage, which he never actually recorded before. He gave it to Dave Edmunds, and who had a minor hit with it, but he countrifies it, and it's brilliant. And their Queen of Compromise, absolutely fantastic album. And then in 2005 we have Songs of No Consequence. This is okay, a couple of decent songs off it. Local Boys is quite good, Chloroform's quite good, Vanity Press is quite good. It's going back to the normal Graham Parker. Songs aren't quite as strong, so Songs of No Consequence from 2005. And then in 2007 we have this, and this is Don't Tell Columbus, and this is probably one of his best albums outside of those first two. Hard Side of the Rain's magnificent, Somebody Save Me is magnificent, I Discovered America is magnificent, The Other Side of the Reservoir is a fantastic album, and you know, I'd love this in vinyl. This has never been released in vinyl, and it's one of his best albums. So that takes us up to 2007. In 2010 we go back to the vinyl and we have Imaginary Television, and yeah, it's a good album. First Responders really good, Broken Skins really good. He does a very good cover of More Questions Than Answers. Yeah, sound album, very short album, but very good. And then he reforms with, or he gets back with the Rumour, and we have Three Chords Good, and this is not a bad album. It's not brilliant. The title track is absolutely magnificent, but the rest of it is okay, and that's all I'll say. It's okay, decent album, but nothing really stands out. And then in 2015 we have Mystery Glue, and this also is a pretty good album. Transit of Venus, Wall of Grace, Flying into London, again Pub Crawl. Again, there's nothing really that stands out too much in this. It's just a good, standard, decent Graham Parker album. And then his last studio album is Cloud Symbols from 2018. And again, this is really, really catchy. Things like Girl in Need, Brushes, Ancient Past, Bathtub Gin, really catchy songs, and it just goes to show he's still a really good songwriter. And then there's a Record Store Day release from, was it 2 years ago, and he does an acoustic version of his Squeezing Out Sparks album. It's not necessary, it's nice to hear, but I've only played this thing twice, and I probably won't play it much again. If I want to hear Squeezing Out Sparks, I'll play the album. So those are my albums of Graham Parker. I think he's magnificent. Don't get me wrong, I love Elvis Costello as well, but consistent wise I think Graham Parker is probably better. Okay, that's me for now. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.